friends, welcome to my channel 5 Minutes History. Today I bring you the story of Vinayak Damodar Savarkar, one of the greatest freedom fighter, philosopher and social reformer of India. Vinayak Damodar Savarkar was born on 28 May 1883 in a Marathi Brahmin Hindu family of Damodar and Radhabai Savarkar near the city of Nasik in the then Bombay Presidency. He had three other siblings, namely Ganesh, Narayan and a sister named Maina. His parents died when he was very young and was looked after by his elder brother. Right from his childhood, Savarkar had great appetite for reading. Invariably found in libraries, he used to read the nationalist newspapers like Kesari and Kal, the biographies of famous revolutionaries such as Mazzini, Garibaldi and Trotsky, and the works of philosophers like Spencer, Mill and Emerson. Apart from devoting himself to Hindu religious scriptures, he also read Bible and the Quran. He knew by heart half of Rabindranath Tagore's literature. In 1897, an epidemic of bubonic plague broke out in the Bombay Presidency. The anti-plague activities of the health department involved police searches, including that of women, isolation of the sick, and forced evacuation of the residents. Some of these officers also vandalized properties and religious places. These measures infuriated the locals and resulted in the killing of the plague commissioner W.C. Rand by Chapekar brothers, who were later hanged by the British government. This event made a deep impact on the teenaged Savarkar, who decided to take up armed struggle against the British. He founded a secret society called Mitra Mela and inducted young patriotic men to strive for absolute political independence for India. Savarkar later renamed Mitra Mela as Abhinav Bharat or Young India after Mazzini's Young Italy Society and declared that India must be independent, India must be united and India must be a republic. In 1905, when British government divided the Bengal Presidency on religious lines, Savarkar and his Abhinav Bharat Society lit a huge bonfire of foreign goods in Pune. In 1906, Savarkar received a scholarship and left for London to study law. There he stayed at India House run by the famous nationalist Shyamji Krishna Varma. In London, Savarkar wrote the biography of the Italian nationalist Giuseppe Mazzini, who was an icon of the revolutionary youth in the pre-communism era. He then wrote a book on the revolt of 1857 against the British in India, in which he challenged the colonial propaganda of a mere sepoy mutiny and hailed the revolt of 1857 as the first war of Indian independence. Since there was no question of printing the book in Britain, it was printed in Holland and copies of it were smuggled into India. The book was a huge success, giving Indians a strong sense of pride. Savarkar also founded the Free India Society in London to organize Indian youths and advocated an armed struggle to throw the British out of India. In 1909, Savarkar's associate Madan Lal Dhingra assassinated Curzon Wheely, the aide-de-camp to the Secretary of State for India and a staunch imperialist. Savarkar also dispatched 20 Browning pistols and a bomb-making manual sourced from Russian nationalists to India. As a result of his anti-British activities, he was arrested in London on 13th March 1910 and sent to India to face trial. When the ship docked in the French port of Marseille, Savarkar escaped by jumping from ship's window, swam a great distance in the freezing water to the French shore, and asked for political asylum. The French port officials, however, ignored his request and handed him back to the British captors. He was tried and on 24 December 1910 sentenced to 50 years of rigorous imprisonment and sent to cellular jail in the Andaman Islands, often described as Guantanamo Bay of the British Empire. For the next 11 years, he suffered great ordeal in the cellular jail that included brutal living conditions, working the oil press and pounding the coconut coir to make fiber. Any transgressions or breach of discipline were met with severe punishments like solitary confinement and clamping of standing handcuffs inside the cell for 8 hours a day. In 1920, several Indian leaders, including the famous lawyer Vittal Bhai Patel, Gandhi and Nehru, demanded Savarkar's release. Savarkar too wrote a series of clemency petitions to the British in the hope of gaining freedom to continue his struggle for India's independence. As such, Savarkar was shifted from the cellular jail first to Alipur jail in Bengal and then to Ratnagiri jail in western Maharashtra in 1921. He was finally released from prison in January 1924 on the condition that he would not leave Ratnagiri district. During his jail term, Savarkar's views increasingly turned towards Hindu cultural and political nationalism, and the next phase of his life remained dedicated to this cause. In the brief period he spent at the Ratnagiri jail, Savarkar wrote his ideological treatise, Hindutva. Smuggled out of the prison, it was published by Savarkar's supporters under his alias Maharatha. In this work, Savarkar promoted a new vision of Hindu social and political consciousness and laid the foundations of Hindutva or Hinduness as an ideology. He emphasized the social unity of all Hindu communities and described Hinduism, Jainism, Sikhism and Buddhism as one and the same. He outlined his vision of India as a Hindu Rashtra or Hindu nation and as Akhand Bharat or United India, stretching across the entire Indian subcontinent. He opposed the Aryan Dravidian divisions and described all Hindus as the children of a common motherland. Savarkar also identified caste as the factor preventing the unity of Hindus and launched reforms like interdining, temple entry for Dalits, and Shuddhi, reconversion to Hinduism. Though Savarkar was not a radical anti-caste reformer like Jyotiba Phule or Ambedkar, he helped soften the attitude of the fellow Brahmins towards Dalits and lower caste. After his release from the jail, Savarkar became more and more critical of Muslims and Congress, which he believed appeased Muslims for political gains. His bitterness against Muslims is attributed to his experiences in the Andamans, where Muslim wardens in the jail converted non-Muslim prisoners by inducements and force. Savarkar claimed that the young and the weak inmates were even subjected to physical and sexual abuse to ensure their conversion, and the lack of unity and orthodox beliefs among the Hindus made it tough for them to present a united front. He later became active in the Hindu Mahasabha, founded in 1915, which sought to protect the interests of Hindus and converted it into a political party. Savarkar, as the president of Hindu Mahasabha during the Second World War, advanced the slogan Hinduize all politics and militarize Hindudom, and decided to support the British war effort in India, seeking military training for the Hindus. When the Congress launched the Quit India movement in 1942, Savarkar criticized it and agreed to join it only if Congress did not compromise the unity of the nation to the Muslim League. The Quit India movement must not end in the Split India movement, he thundered on a BBC broadcast. On 15 August 1947, when India became independent, Savarkar proudly unfurled the national flag along with the saffron flag of the Mahasabha. In 1948, Gandhi was assassinated by a member of Hindu Mahasabha, and Savarkar, being a former president, too was implicated, but he was later acquitted due to the lack of evidence. On 26 February 1966, at the age of 82 years, Savarkar voluntarily embraced death by renouncing food, water and medicines in an act which he termed as Atma Arpan. In an article that he wrote before his death, he argued that when one's life mission is over and the ability to serve the society is left no more, it is better to end the life at will rather than waiting for death.